Hey, welcome back, everybody. It's time again for another episode of Letters to God. The one show, maybe the only show, trying to give you some hope in a world that too often seems without. As we talk with people how they are handling all the craziness and trying to keep a connection to whatever they view the divine to be. Letters to God, right here on Orange County's only community radio station, with our host, the man who's always looking for letters. He wants letters. He's looking for more letters here. Dr. Trin, welcome, sir.
Hey there. Looking for letters, but not always great with timing and forgetting when to show up to a show.
I wasn't going to call you out on it, but we were a little late for this extra recording here because Dr. Trin had to get some Taiwanese dessert somewhere here. But we forgive you. That's what we're going to talk about here today is the art of the Hawaiian art of forgiveness and reconciliation with our previous guest, who's back again for round two, Nicole Black. Welcome.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Dr. Trin, for having me on.
So remind us where we left off. And hang on one second. Just chat for a second, catch up. What was your day like today here? Both of you here. Let's do that for 1 second. We'll start with Nicole. What were you doing today? Where are you at? Taping this at the end of the day.
I can hear you better now. I wasn't able to hear you a minute ago.
Okay, good. So give us just a quick sense. Let's just catch up with each other here. What were you doing today? As we're doing at the end of the day on a Monday. It's always a tough day to record stuff. People are tired. It's been a long day. What's it been like for Nicole Black?
Well, for Nicole Black today, I went to school where I am a student teacher in a second grade classroom. And so all 21 students were present today and accounted for. And it was a great day. It was busy. I was the student of the week. So I had my little chart up and my pictures, and the teachers demonstrate so that kids know like what to do. Mm-hmm. And so it actually took longer than I thought it would. It was 45 minutes, lots of questions from the students about my favorite color, my favorite kind of food, my absolute favorite everything. It was very sweet. So that was my day.
And Dr. Trin, what have you been doing today?
Let's see. 6 a.m. at my trainer's garage to work out with my trainer in his own garage 3 times a week.
Okay.
7 a.m. had a meeting with the president and founder of a university.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. He's we're chatting about maybe starting some additional courses for the university, and I'm involved in some way to create some courses for the university that are accredited. And so, Nicole, if you want to teach something, let me know.
There you go. Nicole's student teaching. He's creating curriculum here. Is this going to be an online university or a full-blown in-person university? Yeah.
Full-blown global university. It's got 3 campuses, one in Orange County, one in Korea, and one in Vietnam.
What kind of classes? Now you've intrigued us here. Is this on medicine? Is this on health? Is this on...
They don't have anything on health. And so it's why I had a chat, because they want to start a health program for the university. So the university is it's a faith-based university, mm-hmm. but they have so they have like classes for spiritual theological stuff. Mm-hmm. They have the same accreditation as Biola University.
Okay, well known here.
Same accreditation, and they have classes on business MBA programs, I think, and then they have classes on. They're starting some computer science courses, degrees, AAs, and so I'm chatting with them about creating their health department.
So before we dive too far into today's topic, which is a very unique one about Hawaiian practice of forgiveness and reconciliation, which Nicole will pronounce correctly for us when we get there. But before we get there, I'm just intrigued. What is so hot about health these days? And why? And let me preface it by saying I'm at the University of California, Irvine. They are building the founders of Broadcom, whose name escaped me, Samuelis.
Yes, Samueli.
are building a giant health science building just down the block here, the first new building they've built on the campus in a while, with a whole new department, well funded, well researched. And I go, health science, health department. I'm not sure what that entails. And when did this become so hot? Lots of universities are talking about health. Why is this so hot, Dr. Trin?
I don't know.
Are we
Maybe it's 'cause
unhealthy? Are we fearing
maybe
our
it's because
health?
we want to be healthy.
Yeah. What do you think, Nicole? Are we an unhealthy world that's looking for healthy answer? Because let's face it, now maybe I'm dating myself, but when I was in high school 100 million years ago, health was like one of those joke classes you took for, to get out of it. It was like gym and health. Those are not high-powered classes. You took math, you took science, you took, I think, and for years we've been pushing the hard sciences, math, science,
Yeah.
whatever, over the social sciences that the broad-based political science, humanities type of stuff that was so in vogue when I was in college. Now we're back to STEM, science, technology, education, math. I didn't hear health in there. We're not into STA. We're not into science, technology, and health. But yet everywhere, if UCI is an indication of what you're saying, that's the second or third time I've heard people saying they're building health departments, health schools, health sciences. What do you think, guys? Are we looking for health?
I think we are looking for health. And I think that, our society has kind of become a little bit obsessed with, like how to stay healthy. There are a lot of people that want to stay healthy, right? And so the best way to do that is to just start at healthy and continue on from there.
Hold on to your health. Well, we're baby boomers. We want to stay healthy forever. We're the Peter Pan generation. Never going to get old, never going to get sick, never going to be like our parents, that's for sure. My mom and dad, late mom and dad, used to always say, well, you better do this and you better do this because you're going to get this and this and this. And I said, I refuse. Just get it out of your mind. I'm not going there. I'm not getting cancer. I'm not having heart attacks. I'm not going all these. I'm not getting dementia. I mean, and they laugh. They say, like, it's a choice. I said, well, to my generation, we just think it is. We're not going to go there. We're not going to accept these as the inevitable consequence of getting old. So today,
the biggest step,
Go ahead.
the biggest stepchild of health is mental health.
Yes. So I was going to say, perfect segue. That's where I wanted to go with this, right?
Yes, mental health has always been in the back burner. Issues with depression, anxiety, PTSD, emotional health has always been in the background behind heart disease, cancers, and strokes and Alzheimer's. Mental health is just equally important because mental health is health, and which is why I'm so glad to bring Nicole here to speak on that, because the last time we had the discussion with Nicole, she brought up some really super good just advice and tips that I've implemented myself.
You remembered them even. I had to be reminded what they were. You just spewed them out. So again, we just this in the context. She was here last time talking about her book. I Can Still Hear You. Is that the name of the book? And it's about her connection to her deceased father, who she still feels is here and can communicate with, and his presence, his signs, whatever. She's convinced there's a connection still continuing.
It's a fiction book, but I do honestly believe that, and I am still connected in with both of my parents.
So she talks about this, and then you were kind of like, well, how do you, it's the whole gist of this show. How do we believe what we can't see? How do we trust what we don't know is there? And how do we stay connected? How do we stay focused? How do we practice mindfulness and meditation and all these things? We try and put ourselves in some state of mind. And she spewed off these 4 things, and Dr. Trin was just like blown away. What are the 4 things? Dr. Trin, we want to ask her, 'cause she knows them. Let's see if you learned them. What are the 4 things she says? You just tell yourself these 4 things, all problems go away. What are the 4?
Do you want me to say it?
Yeah, because you said them before. What are the 4 things?
Okay, I know it. Guess what? I know it because I've taken Nicole's advice to heart and I've been practicing it.
That's what I want to
So
see.
every day, toward the end of the day, I sit down and I reflect on my day. And so I tell myself this. what was my experience like today, and who are the people that crossed my path today? What conversations did I have today? Who were they? Were they positive conversations, negative conversations, conversations that made me happy, conversations that made me angry? And so what I did was I filtered through, and it may not be exactly what Nicole taught, but I filtered through each face that I saw today. And in each face, I could implement one of the sentences that Nicole taught me. One of the 4 possible
answers
thoughts,
to these things. When I think back, how do I write this script? Well, how do I remember that? What do I do with that? And she said, what? Give us the 4.
The 4. Number 1, I'm sorry. Which means, did I cross anyone that I upset? That I should say I'm sorry here. Number 2, please forgive me. Number 3, thank you. Right? I crossed somebody that, I learned something from. They did something special or nice to me. Thank you. And number 4, I love you. And after I did that, it's like I just had a different filter on me. We all walk through life with filters on, right?
Right.
The filters based on our experiences, filtered, whether, even political filters. You look at everything from the left or you look at everything from the right. We filter every piece of knowledge or data that comes across. And so why not filter our experiences with thoughts that are just, loving and positive?
The way I look at it is you have to, at the end of the day, make sense of what you've gone through. And so we're all going to try and say, we're either going to ignore it and dismiss it, or we're going to hold on to it and remember it and rail against it, or hold on to it and embrace it. But somehow we're going to put a meaning to what happened to us today. And that meaning is, I think, how we file them away in our head and recall them and remember them, if we do it all. So was this important? Was this unimportant? Was this impactful? Not impactful. Did this leave a lasting impression? No impression. Am I going to let go of it, or am I going to hang on to it? All these judgments we make as we file this one away. Where do I put this one? In the forget it, in the no, I'm never going to forget that one file. And so part of it is, in my mind, you're like a librarian trying to put some categories to these things. Love you, hate you, forgive you.
No, I'm sorry, I have to stop you there, because it's not that esoteric.
I want to make it science.
Yeah.
Well, because I have a question for you, and it's kind of a yes/no question.
Okay.
So have you ever noticed that every time there's a problem, the one thing that is always there is you?
Oh, ouch. Yes.
But it's true. It hurts. But what Dr. Trin was saying was that he was, forgiving, like I'm forgiving the other person. You're not forgiving anybody else. You're forgiving the divine in you, because there is nothing outside of you. There's nothing outside of me. I am my own entire world.
We are a whole unto ourselves. Okay.
I'm a whole unto myself. So something happens and somebody comes up to me and they start complaining about something. Well, now I'm a part of the problem. Thanks a lot. Thanks for bringing me into your problem. Like, I did not want that. And I don't solve people's problems anymore either, because I think that
as if we ever could, but yeah, we all want to take it.
You have the answers inside of you. So, but because the problem has now become a part of my life and my problem, I'm forgiving the inner child inside of me who sees that and recognizes that, right? And that way I don't have to carry it around with me. And also, Dr. Trin, I'm hoping he's going to tell you the cool thing that he sent me, that where he found all 4 phrases, because I was thinking about it this morning when I was driving to work, and I was like, I am really blown away, because I never would have thought that those 4 phrases would have been in this place, this magical place that he found them. And then when he shared them with me, I thought, you know what, it just proves my point.
And it had such an impact on him that he not only wanted you to come back, he remembers him. He's put him into place. You made an impact in this guy's life. Just in a drive-by, throwaway thing at the end of the show. Yeah, I do these 4 things, and I say these 4 things. And Dr. Trin's like, what? Stop.
But Dr. Trin had an impact on me, because what I used to do was like wake up in the morning and I'd say it 108 times, the 4 phrases. And then if things, would come up like from like a week ago or even from the day before. But now what I do is I do it at night, because I don't want to go to sleep. I don't want to take anything with me into my sleep, because Dr. Trin knows more probably about sleep than I do, but I don't want my subconscious wrestling with problems all night long. I want my subconscious to be free and like the neural pathways.
So none of you got how I opened the show. We've never done this. I said, talk through what happened today here. So are we going to let go of them? Are we going to forgive them? It wasn't by accident that I said, let's review the day, because I knew where Dr. Trin was going. This is his end of the day mantra practice, release.
It's very cool. But I think that what people underestimate the power of words, right?
Oh, yeah.
And the power of your own words to yourself. So as I sit there and I think, oh, well, I wish I hadn't, I can't think of anything I didn't wish that I wish I would have called on that one last student rather than letting the hand wave in the air, and me not calling on them, because we all want to be acknowledged and recognized,
yes,
right?
More than ever.
So, but rather than carrying that with me, I can say, okay, well, there was a time probably when I was a kid when I had my hand in the air, waving it around like I just didn't care, and I didn't get called on. And that's a hard place for children to be in. So then what I do is I reflect on myself and I say to myself, to my inner child, I'm sorry, please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. And it's more like a dialogue of, I'm sorry that I didn't call on you when I saw your hand raised. I'm sorry, Nicole, inner child Nicole, that when I was a child, somebody didn't call on me, right? And then it's, please forgive me, Nicole, like forgive your inner child for not having been called.
And does it just release it and it's
does.
Gone? Or does it help you to process it later? At the same, is it a release?
Never comes back up for me.
Okay.
And when it does, it's something that was big enough that like I clearly haven't resolved it within myself. Yeah. So, and those things usually are like about like relationships, like past boyfriends or my ex-husband. Like if things like that come up, sometimes that takes it. Not really with my ex-husband because we're friends now, but like definitely with like there have been ex-boyfriends in my life where I'm like, well, I guess I'm still working on this one.
So again, I was trying to get to, is this just a way to clear out the inconsequential and to quit and to focus on the meaningful, or is this a way
it's
to
only the meaningful? Because the inconsequential stuff doesn't pop up into your periphery. You're not thinking about, sure, the gas station, right? Like how you went to the gas station and
or somebody flipped you off as they drove by and you're like, okay, whatever, You
I would hope nobody's doing that to other people, but
Dr. Trin flips people off all the time. I didn't want to tell you about him. He's very bad about when it comes to driving. He just loves to get angry.
Please forgive me, Paul.
Please forgive me. I'm sorry.
I'm
very
sorry.
Angry driver.
Please forgive me. Yeah.
All right. So how does this relate to the divine? This show is about, is there something out there? Is there connection on the other side? How can we connect to it? How do we feel it when we can't see it and touch it and everything? Does any of this help us with that divine connection, or is it just our present day-to-day interactions that this helps us deal with?
Dr. Trin, where did you find the 4 phrases?
I found the 4 phrases in the Bible.
What? Come on.
And in different books, right?
Book,
like
yeah.
It wasn't like written out in the Bible, like, please forgive me.
It wasn't the extra 4 commandments they dropped off the tablet when he dropped the tablet. The famous Mel Brooks thing. There are 15 commandments and he dropped one. Oops, there are 10.
10.
Yeah.
Down to 10. We're good.
That was in a Mel Brooks movie. I don't know. I always thought that was funny. Yeah. All right, so you found him in the Bible, and because Dr. Trin's a student of the Bible, he knows his Bible verses here and studies
It was
Bible
a Google
study.
search. I just
Oh,
Google searched it, like you know, forgiveness verses in the Bible, and and I Google searched it, and those scriptures popped up, and they were like, wow, that's I was just kind of shocked.
we had somebody on one
Yeah.
of our other shows, just sort of a rabbit hole here, and he was talking about the inherent wisdom in the Bible. Now he was talking about it from a financial perspective. Reap what you shall sow. And a million of these kinds of things. God helps those who help themselves. He was just kind of. He said there's some really common sense wisdom in the Bible. We think of it as stories to illustrate a point, or we think about it as our man's relationship to God in the Old Testament, or the Savior comes back. We think of it in very grandiose terms. He said he felt the Bible was a very down to earth, tangible guide to how to live your life, with some very common sense wisdom, like I forgive you. What were the other four here? I'm sorry, I forgive you.
Please forgive me.
Please forgive me. And what were the other two? And
I'm sorry. Thank you. I love you.
I love you. There you go. So that's, here I have trouble. I'm trying to turn it into some esoteric, grandiose, deep meaning thing. And she's like just saying to herself, just come on. I'm sorry. I forgive you. Let it go. Are we overthinking life? Are we overthinking connections to God? Are we overthinking all this stuff here? That's what we do.
Well, I think people are looking for connection, right? And they're trying to find a way to, well, I think what people are not realizing is that we're all much more connected than we think that we are. And that,
Because we think we're alone. Too many of us, depression, anxiety, alone, COVID, separation anxiety, screaming into little echo chambers with the half a dozen of the people who feel like us. We definitely feel like we're atomizing. We're splitting into a world of individuals with no connection, society, religion, cultural, anything. Nothing is connecting us much anymore right now here.
Well, people need to remember to stay present. I think Dr. Trin probably agrees with me. Like, depression's the past, anxiety's the future. But if you just stay in the right now, I'm here with Paul and Dr. Trin. This is all I'm thinking about right now. I'm not thinking about dinner later, or do I need to go to the supermarket, or what am I going to do? Am I washing my hair? All I'm thinking about is this: letters to God, Ho'oponopono, and how can other people learn how to forgive themselves so that they don't keep repeating the same things over and over again, right?
Do we need God to forgive us? Is that why there's a God in this world? Or is that what is the purpose of God, Dr. Trin? Is the purpose of God to guide us? Is the purpose of God to bring us home to Him? Or is the purpose of God to, I forgive you, I absolve you, by grace alone are you, you didn't earn this, but I'm going to give it to you. Poof, you're forgiven. That's what I always felt when I was a Catholic. I'd go to confession. It was like, oh my God, I was forgiven. Let's go do it again. No.
What a deep question.
Yeah,
The purpose of
because
God.
she's saying we can forgive ourselves, and I didn't think I could forgive myself. I have to get others' permission. Alcoholics Anonymous, I go around and ask for everybody's permission. But church, I go to pray and I ask for forgiveness for God. Forgiveness is not something I can give myself. Forgiveness is given unto me.
Even if you were forgiven by God, by Jesus, or by someone else, if you don't forgive yourself, even if somebody forgave you, if you don't forgive yourself, you've never attained that point of healing.
Didn't get it. Yeah. Okay.
So you need to forgive yourself.
It starts with you.
And that's hard.
And then spirals out.
That's hard. How many of us are still blaming ourselves because we didn't live up to some expectation somebody put upon us, ourselves, our teacher, our parents, something we put upon ourselves. I'm going to do this. I have continually failed. I'm a sinner. I can't succeed. I'm always beating myself up. Even when people aren't beating me up, I'm these little scripts running in my head here. If only, what,
That Catholic guilt.
It is. Well, that's part of it. That's definitely part of it. But I just wonder, you're all talking about, I have it within me. You have the answers within you. I went to see a psychiatrist years ago. I was having trouble and depression, anxiety. And at the end of it, I'm kind of like, you mean I'm doing this to myself? Kind of. Kind of. There's some external forces, but it's how you're reacting to it,
And it doesn't mean I don't believe. Yeah. It doesn't mean I don't believe in God. Yes. But yes, God forgives, and yes, I believe in God's forgiveness, and it helps me to knowing that I'm forgiven by a loving God. It bridges that gap, but at the same time, I need to learn to accept myself and forgive myself if I'm ever going to move forward emotionally healthy with that.
So
Nicole, have you ever done a course on this or a class?
He wants to teach something. He wants to see his brain spinning. I could turn this into something bigger, a movement.
Entrepreneur brain.
It is a movement. Yeah, it is a movement. Dr. Joe Vitale teaches classes on it. He had them on special last year during COVID. It was, you could take his whole class for $29. I don't know if he still has it. For that, but his book Zero Limits is what really changed my life.
Zero Limits. Okay, and I've never heard of Dr. What's his name? Joe Vitale.
Joe Vitale, Vitale.
Never heard of him.
Never heard of him.
Yeah, I think he's in Texas.
Okay.
And honestly, like because I love Hawaii and I spend a lot of time there, and I go there to recharge. And, somebody said, well, you've never heard of Oponopono? And I was like, I have not. And then when I started really...
And say it again, because we've teased it throughout the first half of the show. It's in the show note, but I didn't know how to say it, so we were avoiding it. The whole purpose of the show is to talk about this Hawaiian practice of forgiveness and reconciliation, which is called...
Ho'oponopono.
Ho'oponopono. Did I say it right? Ho'oponopono. Yeah. And this is an ancient practice in which they do what? Some of what you're talking about? I forgive you. I love you.
All of what I'm talking about.
That's it.
That's it. It's literally just the 4 phrases. There's, you can, once you master that, but mastery takes longer than we think it does, right? So once you've mastered that, then there's like another thing that you can do, which is like a poem that you would read 4 times, but that comes later. So you have to...
I can't even memorize the 4 darn things. I need a cheat sheet to pull it out.
So don't worry about going further, right? Like stay on little lowercase a, and then, we'll work our way down the alphabet. But we all start on lowercase a, and everybody wants to be a Z, and it's like, just stay on lowercase a. Just keep repeating those 4 phrases when things come up. Or you can do what I do and what Dr. Trin does, wait till the end of the day and then see. Is it still coming up for me? Because something might come up for me right in the moment, but then perhaps my inner child has already worked that out.
Yeah.
And so I get to the end of the day and I'm like, oh, okay, I don't need to rehash that because I've already been through it.
I thought that's what dreams and sleep were for your subconscious to work out what you went through in the day and to somehow mysteriously make sense of it. And I always felt that in the day, you take this and run with it or something for a while here. And I get these wild dreams. Like, what does that mean? I have no idea, but somehow it definitely had something to do with what I went through today. I don't know. Is that true? Am I just making something up here? Is that my own crazy belief, Dr. Trin?
I dream of zombies, of The Walking Dead.
Always you dream of zombies. So I don't know what that says about you. The people you're running into, you're not running into alive, engaged people. You're running into a world of dead people here.
Season 11 of The Walking Dead. Yes, that's what I dream of.
But so there's a serious, I'm going to give you a serious point to, we always say a frivolous thing. You like to show your shirts and you love The Walking Dead and everything. Why are zombie movies so popular right now? They weren't popular 10 years ago, 20 years ago. Superhero movies and zombie movies. We either feel like we're in some sort of zombie apocalypse, I think, as a society, just as in the 50s. There were monster movies because you had the atom bomb hanging over us and the Cold War, and everybody was feeling all these conflicts. So they felt like there was an alien force coming at us from somewhere else, whether it's Russia or somewhere else. And I think the same thing is true. There's some underlying reason that that's resonating with us today? What do you think, Nicole? Why are zombie films so in vogue these days? I never saw zombie movies when I grew up as a kid. Nobody talked about zombie movies, but now they're everywhere.
I'm going to pass that one to Dr. Trent. Why do you think zombie movies are so?
I think that's a reflect. I'm going to maybe make more of it than there should be, but I think it's a reflection of our collective anxiety that somehow we're in some sort of apocalyptic end of the world feeling, and people are walking through their lives and not fully awake and not fully present and dead and wake up and come alive. There's something resonating about that whole imagery that people go for, or is it just funny?
Nah, it's a biblical thing.
Biblical thing. All right. Zombies.
Oh yeah.
Zombies are in the
yeah.
Bible here? I never saw zombies.
Oh yes, they are.
The book of
the Bible
zombies?
the Bible says that the dead shall rise.
Ah.
Zombies.
So
zombies.
But
yeah,
but
and,
this,
being a believer myself, I
this
wanted to
ominous,
be more biblical.
But it's not. It's never a positive thing. Zombies are never positive. They always look horrible. They're not to be emulated. If we are going to rise, then I don't want to rise like that. Like we're this walking.
Well, that's why they need to implement Oponopono.
There you go. That's what would do this. So I think there is something to it. I think we're in a time of anxiety, no question about it. And I think my late mother used to say the whole world's having a collective nervous breakdown. I think, and that was a while ago. She didn't live to see the 12 I could rattle from this week, the crises that one after another were just hurricanes and wars and COVID and things, we're bombarded by these overwhelming images. And yet other generations, World War II, my parents' generation, Depression, World War II, the most traumatic things in the world. And somehow that made them more resolute, more firm, not fall apart. I don't know. We seem to be falling apart.
So how do we get more people to learn about these 4 statements, Nicole?
That's the purpose of this show. Not just what they are, but how do we implement them in a world that seems to so desperately need such simple wisdom?
Well, the best advertising, right?
I don't.
Word of mouth?
What we're doing, yeah.
Word of mouth. It's what we're doing. And there will be people that are like, I think I've heard of that. That'll be listening and but here's something that a lot of people that I have met. There are people who are like, no, I'm not going to say, please forgive me, and I'm sorry. And so here's how you rectify that situation.
Okay.
Okay, great. Just say thank you. I love you. I haven't.
Does it work? Two's better than none. One's better than nothing.
I love you and thank you. I have it as my screensaver on my phone.
Wow.
When people say like, why are you always so level and even? And I'm like, well, I don't know. I think it's the Oponopono.
Yeah.
And
did you go up to a volcano and study with some great guru of this moment, some shaman, I don't know what, enough about the Hawaiian religion and society what do they call their wise people? But I picture somebody on the verge of a volcano that I have to climb through fire to get to, like in India. I'm going to go see some guru.
No, you don't even have to go to Hawaii to learn it. You can learn it, you can learn it in Boise, Idaho. You're there, or, Galveston, Texas. I don't know. I'm just picking like random places that are California.
Those are pretty random places.
I don't know why those 2 just popped into my head. You could be in New York, right? Think about New York. That's
the opposite of Hawaii. Hey, buddy, F you. Get out of here. Get out of the way. Fine.
Thank you. I love you. What's your hurry? Why are you in such a giant hurry? Maybe you should have left sooner.
When I went to New York the very first time was for business, and I was in the entertainment industry, and I went to New York, obviously, big center. And so very exciting to get downtown Manhattan and clubs and people and crowds and everything else. And somebody said, so what do you think? What do you think? You're in laid back LA. This is excitement. I said, it feels like everybody had too many cups of coffee. It was just hyper. Everything was, I couldn't wait to get home and just relax. It was fun for an afternoon or a weekend, but wow, I couldn't live like this. Frantic, frenzied, fast paced.
Wow.
Everybody aggressive, in your face.
So is this something you can teach, or is this something that somebody absorbs through conversation, or can you create like a short, half-day seminar out of this, or just
Absolutely. Yeah, anybody could create like a seminar for this. So
That's what Dr. Trin wants to do. That's
like
clear.
Right. I know that's what he wants. But it goes back to like meditation, right? And like what we're doing is, so what they call it is cleaning. So if you imagine like you are a whiteboard, right? I'm a teacher, so I'm at school, so I have a whiteboard. I don't have a chalkboard anymore.
Right.
And what I like to walk into is a very clean whiteboard, right? I don't want stuff on it. I want to start the day. I want to walk into my classroom and I don't want anything on the board.
Right.
I want to be the first person to write stuff on there.
Clean slate. We're going to start clean today.
But that's the clean slate that we're all looking for in our lives.
Wow. Say that again. Aren't we all looking for a clean slate? I wish I could start over again in my relationships, in my job, in the last 20 years of my life, or whatever. Yeah.
Erase it. If you have a problem, like I don't like my cat. I love my cat.
I can tell. Cat wants to contribute to the show here.
My cat has been joining the show. He likes you. He doesn't usually like men, so he likes both of you.
And that is something about, I have that affinity. Truthfully, cats come to me all the time, everywhere I go. I don't know why, but they just immediately jump in. They say, he never does that. Cats always jump on me. And so there's something I'm putting out that cats like here. I'm catnip.
That's a good thing.
Okay.
Well, so if you imagine like writing the things that you don't like about yourself or about other people, because when you're seeing something in somebody else that you don't like, that's something most of the time, not always, but most of the time, that's something in you that you're like, oh gosh, you see that guy? He's so aggressive. He's yelling at everybody on the road. And then you turn around and you get in your car and you're like, you driver.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, I'm that guy.
I'm that guy.
I'm that person. So then I just take it, I write it on my board, and I just erase it. It's written on my board. I have a giant,
so now you're going back to
you feel like this. I also have a giant eraser.
I do too. I don't know why. I have one. I just found one here. I got a big eraser.
And because like if anything can become a cleaning tool, right? You can have a business card, you can have a Post-it note, and you can say, oh, I don't like that. Cut it, erase it.
Wow.
Everything is an eraser. If you don't like something, erase it. It's gone.
So you're back to the underlying premise that Dr. Trin approached me about this show, which is the physical act of writing a letter. As childlike as that still seems to me, dear God, dear Santa, more than journaling, more than just a quiet conversation with yourself, there is, in the act of writing, in the act of putting it down, you are not just clarifying it for yourself, but you are somehow letting it go.
Well, you have to. You have to clean it, right? I mean, you can't.
Yeah.
But you're talking about a gesture. I got to write it and then erase. I got to go through. I can't just say to myself, forget it.
For some people.
I got to go through some sort of tangible process of doing this and then physically remove it. And then my psychiatrist a million years ago said, because I was struggling with something over and over again, they said, well, you're a believer, you're a Catholic. Why don't you have a God box? I've said this before on the show. And he's like, I said, what's a God box? It's a little box, and you simply write little things that you can't handle anymore, and you put them in the box. And by releasing it, you're saying, all right, this one's yours, God. And I said, oh, come on, like I'm going to believe that. Try it. It does have a certain releasing tension to write it and wipe it out, to put it on a piece of paper and stick it somewhere, to rip it up and throw it away, to do something tangible. I don't know why. That sounds childish to me, but it does kind of work. What do you think?
It does.
Do you have any habits like that you have to physically do something to erase it? You have to write it.
You can write it in your mind. You can write it in your mind and erase it in your mind.
But see, that's what I'm going to challenge you. I don't think it's as powerful as if you fit. It's like when they say, I'm going to be kind and nice next week. I'm going to lose weight next month. And you say that to yourself and nothing happens. But when you write it down, when you tell it to people, I'm going to do something, and you put yourself out there, somehow it's more likely to happen, people say. I believe so, and I've seen people do that, than if you just imagine it in your mind. Somehow it's actualizing it. There's some other aspect of the writing and the erasing and the ripping. In the what? Yeah, the neural pathways.
The neural pathways. So you're activating your neural pathways, and you're making yourself accountable, right? If you write it down, I tell Dr. Trin, I'm going to call you tomorrow. Well, now if I don't call him, guess what? He's going to, she said she was going to call me and she didn't call.
And if you don't write it down, like Dr. Trin didn't write down this appointment today here, see, it's something about it doesn't get actualized. My mother in late life, here's another strange story, got struck by lightning and she didn't die, which was highly unusual, but it fried her brain and it helped. I don't know if that's what caused her to turn into Parkinson's and other things, or if that was just headed that way. But whatever it was, she was a different person after she got zapped in the brain. No question about it. And they studied her brain and everything, University of Michigan, they could never figure out. And they said, because we don't know what happens when you get hit with that much voltage. Anyway, the gist of it is she had to learn how to do some of the simplest things, sort of like a stroke. And they taught her this. You've all probably experienced it. I never heard of it. It was called multimodality. If you really want to memorize something, you write it, you read it, and you say it out loud. And if you do those three things, it's more likely to be remembered than if you just look at it.
Yep.
And so I see some of that same multimodality here. I can say I'm going to let go of something, but when I write it, when I say it out loud, I hereby let this go, and I wipe it out, and I erase it. I do something physical, I do something verbal, as well as mental. It's more likely to happen.
Yeah, maybe we sat down and on a piece of note paper or journal, wrote down just names of people that we ran across today.
Yes, right.
Right? Conversations, just names, and then go through the names, and with each name, right, have an associated statement. Mm-hmm. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. Right?
Or tear it up and throw it away, or put it in your pocket. I won't forget this one, or whatever. Somehow there's an act of writing that I think we have lost. I certainly have lost. I don't write well anymore. I never did write very well. It was hard for me to make cursive letters. I was never good at it. And the first chance I had to stop doing that altogether, I did. I haven't written, physically pulled out a piece of paper other than jotting down a little note that I can't read half the time. I haven't written letters. I haven't composed things in longhand in a long time. I type it, I text it.
To do that, to just try it. Because like some of the things that you just said, I was sitting here thinking, who's he talking to? Because you were being kind of negative to yourself.
Yeah.
Right. And you would you allow your best friend to talk to themselves like that? No way. So we have to watch like how we talk to ourselves, right? Like, whenever I hear somebody say something like, I'm stupid, I always say, who are you talking to?
Yeah, right.
And they like, well, I'm talking to myself. And I'm like, oh, please don't do that, because I don't believe that that's true. And we have to stop like saying like, as silly as it is, like putting ourselves down like, oh, it's just self-deprecating behavior. It's not. You're reinforcing those patterns and that belief system that like, I can't do it. You can do anything you want to do.
Somebody was on a recent show and they were talking about their mother. It was more of an entrepreneurial show, but they were talking about how their mother grew up in a world where their mother was always saying out loud, oh, darn it, I'm just so stupid. I can't believe I can't. She would say this stuff out. She'd be in the kitchen and she'd drop something. Why do I always do this? I'm so stupid. I'm always dropping things. And she wouldn't think it. She's yelling. She's having a conversation with herself all the time. I've met people like that. I've done some of that.
We've all done some of that. Yeah. But like that's the point, is that, you can stop. You're driving the car. So you're the one that gets to push the brakes on your own automobile. Right?
No. Carrie Underwood said, Jesus, take the wheel. I can't drive anymore here. You take over. I'm not driving this boat anymore here. That's what popular culture tells you. Surrender. That's why the other thing we love, not to get deep again here, but I think that's why we're into superhero movies. We're always looking for somebody to rescue us. To say somebody outside is going to fly in, Superman, Batman, the Avengers, and wipe out all this problem, because I can't.
Yes, you can. And yes, no, it is true. We're not all in the same, we don't all drive the same cars, right? I mean, you go out onto the freeway, and of course, when you buy a new car, everybody else has just bought that exact same car.
Well, yeah,
because
right.
That's what you're looking for, right?
Right.
But we're all so different, and I think that if we would just recognize, like looking at our differences and being like, wow, that's really cool. Like
But you're telling me underneath us we're all the same. That at the core of it, if I just say these four things, we all react to them the same way. Is there anybody this doesn't work for? Is there an anti-Oponopono bono somebody here? Somebody that, oh no, that's don't do that if you've got these characteristics.
Aren't there always naysayers?
Yeah, everywhere.
The Bible probably says that, right, Dr. Trin? Like,
Uh-huh.
but just because somebody else doesn't believe something doesn't make me believe it any less.
Like the famous joke, just because you think everybody's chasing after you doesn't mean they aren't. No, just because you're paranoid doesn't mean there's not good reason. Just because nobody believes something doesn't mean it's not true. I just, I'm the doubting Thomas. I'm the skeptic. I'm the one who wants to believe, but who struggles to believe in anything, and more so today than ever before. We all seem to be doubting facts. We doubt others. We got to try it, think about it, whatever. I don't know. I'm not sure.
We doubt ourselves.
Doubt ourselves.
So, yeah.
Well, I don't doubt that this has been an interesting conversation. I think this is fascinating stuff. I don't doubt that Dr. Trin's going to have a book out or a seminar out soon on Hawaiian Oponopono. Say it again and spell it for me so we can go look it up. How do we say it again?
Oponopono,
which is
HO apostrophe O PONO PONO.
Nice.
Oponopono. Right. Well, whether Dr. Trin can say it or not, you converted him. I've never seen anybody get converted so quickly on this show to you just changed his outlook.
Oh yeah, Nicole, we want you to come teach this somehow. Oh yeah, we'll figure it out.
How would you're a teacher, how would you teach us other than tell people? Is there an exercise to, is it again the art of writing? Is there something, is it a habit I have to learn? I got to do it 500 times or whatever you got to do is a habit 7 times, 21 times until it becomes a habit. Give us some insight. If it was a course, what would it be? Just you reiterating it over and over again? Or
if it was a course, what would it look like?
Yeah.
I think it would look, it would look a lot like what
I stumped the band. I feel like the old Tonight Show. I stumped the band.
I kind of feel like you did.
Yeah.
You definitely stumped Nicole.
Band didn't know how to play that song.
I think it would, what, I would probably look at some of the other courses that are out there and say, this is lovely, but what would I add into it?
Yeah.
To, help the people who don't believe. The people that don't believe, they're not going to be the ones coming to the course.
I'll challenge you, because I think too many people, there's an awful lot of us that don't believe in a lot of things, but we keep investigating them because we're looking, we're searching. More than ever, we're shopping around religions, we're shopping around philosophies, we're shopping around for medicines, we're shopping around for COVID cures, even though they give us no, I got 12 more. We constantly searching for answers. And I don't know if that just means we don't feel like we have the answers yet, but so many of us are still searching. So I don't think just because you don't believe doesn't mean people wouldn't come. They might not do it, but I think they would investigate it.
Well, I think that the number one way to be successful at something is to believe you can do it, right? That's number one. Is, can I forgive myself for the things that I've done in my life that I'm not proud of? Absolutely. I can forgive myself.
And I think you've hit the nail on the head. We have this other financial show where they talk about financial advice, and after we've done this for a month, and he says, why isn't anybody doing this stuff? I'm telling them, here's some concrete things to do for ordinary people to put into practice. I said, you know what it is? And I'm going to tell you the truth. They don't believe they can do it. You can do it because you're a superhuman. You're a superhero. I can't. You got to be wealthy. You got to be lucky. You got to be talented. You got to be hardworking. Substitute wealthy for anything else you want to achieve. Happy. Well, I can't be happy. Only certain people are lucky to be happy. I can't be kind. The world is unkind. Everybody has got some immediate answer why they can't do it.
Well, the first thing that you have to do is just take the first step, right? Everybody says, I want to exercise. And then they go and they exercise so hard that like they're out for the rest of the month.
Right.
Start with one sit up, start with one push up, start with one and then build up from there. Rather than thinking you can take on the whole world, I'm going to forgive myself for everything I've done in my life. Well, I'm 50, so that's going to take a minute.
Right. Yeah.
A
minute, maybe
not,
2.
It's not, or like 50. It's going to take a while.
Well, we have no more time to take today. Dr. Trin has given us the hard signal. He got in the car, put the seatbelt on. He's ready to roll. So thank you. Take us out, Dr. Trin. How do we, what comes next here on this show here? Take us out.
Okay, Nicole, we're bringing you back, okay?
Dr. Trin, anytime. I'll have talking to you too.
All right.
All right, guys. This is great. And this addresses what's always been in the back burner for all of us, which is who we are. Do we accept ourselves for who we are? And what's important when it comes to the issues of self-esteem, mental health, emotional health, and being able to live with ourselves.
And I'll go one step deeper, what she just said, and do we believe? Do we believe it's in us? Do we believe in God? Do we believe in ourselves? Do we believe we can change? Do we believe? Yeah. Belief is what's missing in this world. Belief.
Yes.
Well, I believe we're at the end, so thank you, guys.
Take care, guys.
Well, there you have it, folks. Another reason you got to tune in, because I believe there's an answer, and together we can find it. Maybe we just wrote some letters to God. Right here in Orange County's only community radio station, OCTalkRadio.net.